This is the Brave New Coin Crypto Conversation, hosted by Andy Pickering.
Hi everyone, Andy Pickering here. I'm your host and welcome to the Crypto Conversation, a Brave New Coin podcast where we talk to the people building the future in the Bitcoin, blockchain and cryptocurrency space. Good news, team. We have an exciting new sponsor here at the Crypto Conversation, and well, they are perfectly positioned for today's changing investment environment. Because with market volatility so high and the expected returns for stocks and bonds so low, I tend to agree with the analysts at JP Morgan who have declared that alternative assets are no longer optional. And that is good news for those platforms who can provide access to the top alternative asset classes like Masterworks. Yes, Masterworks.io has solidified itself as the platform for investing in contemporary art. And Masterworks is on a mission to democratize art investing, which is a 1.7 trillion asset class. How do they do this? Well, Masterworks is the first platform to make it possible to purchase shares that represent an investment in multi-million-dollar artworks from iconic artists such as Banksy, Kaws, and Basquiat, all at a price point tailored to you. And since 2017, Masterworks has sold a number of iconic artworks, with each returning over 30% net IRR to investors. Legally, I have to follow that with past performance is no guarantee of future results. Now, if you want to get in early, just go to masterworks.art/cryptoconversations to skip their waitlist. That's masterworks.art/cryptoconversations. And you can see important Regulation A disclosures at masterworks.io/CD. And now it's on with the show. My guest today is Christian Keroles, also known as CK. CK is the managing director of Bitcoin Magazine. And yeah, I think he's a Bitcoiner. I imagine he's a Bitcoiner. I'm pretty sure he's a Bitcoiner. Quite excited to talk to you today, CK. Welcome to the show.
Honored to be here, Andy. Big fan of Brave New Coin, and big fan of the podcast as well.
Very nice of you to say. Very nice to have you here. So, you know, I know a little bit about you. I know a little bit about Bitcoin Magazine, but I don't know kind of a whole lot. So I'm actually quite excited to talk about all this today, and also the big Bitcoin 2022, which you guys are all over. That's happening very soon, so there's some pretty cool stuff there as well. So it's actually a good excuse to just do a good solid Bitcoin podcast, which I don't know if I've done one for a while. So yeah, excited to do that. Let's just start at the beginning, CK, and look, could you please introduce yourself?
Yeah, so like Andy said, Christian Keroles, CK, the managing director of Bitcoin Magazine. I'm the luckiest guy in the world, man, because I get to wake up every day and do my dream job and help people who love Bitcoin get hired to Bitcoin. And, you know, it's just such a blessing every single day. But Bitcoin Magazine is the oldest publication that's been covering Bitcoin and cryptocurrency more generally in history. So we actually launched 10 years ago in 2017 by Mihai and Vitalik. So Vitalik Buterin of Ethereum was a part of our history. And in 2013, Bitcoin Magazine was purchased by David Bailey, and he has been running it since. In 2019, after experiencing the block size wars of 2017 and kind of a lot of the negativity of the 2018 bear market, we launched a campaign to commit ourselves fully to BTC only. And to make Bitcoin fun again. So we simultaneously made Bitcoin Magazine a BTC only publication, and we launched the Bitcoin conference. So here we are, 3 years later. Obviously, that was a great decision. Bitcoin Magazine is never been better, and the Bitcoin conference, which is about to have its third installment in Miami, Bitcoin 2022. Is the biggest Bitcoin or crypto conference in history. So, it's been a thrilling ride. I love Bitcoin. I love Bitcoin Magazine, and happy to answer any questions about what we're doing.
Awesome, man. What I didn't know, because I was just looking through the Bitcoin Magazine website earlier today, and I wasn't actually aware that you guys actually put out a quarterly print magazine as well, which is it's quite exciting for me because, well, I'm interested because I actually come from I guess a print magazine background myself. I used to own quite a kind of sexy high-end fashion design magazine that I used to publish, and just through doing that, even here in little old New Zealand, our magazine market is quite small, as I'm sure you can imagine. The blood, sweat, and tears that go into producing a print magazine, man, it's a lot of work. And in 2022, print magazines, the market is not what they used to. So that must be a real labor of love. I'd love to understand what goes into that.
No, I mean, it's a good pointing that out. Honestly, we're bullish on print. So obviously the media landscape is in constant flux. But we see the print product as more of a collectible more than it is like media via the print medium. So we are in the industry of creating super, super high quality, high end print magazines every single quarter. We're here to make history with these print magazines and document history. And you can own a piece of history, either by buying, the early Bitcoin magazines or by subscribing to Bitcoin Magazine today. So you can get the El Salvador edition, and we just announced the Moon edition. So the To the Moon edition is going to debut at our conference, and it is available for subscriptions today.
Yeah, that makes sense. I mean, it wouldn't make sense to do like a kind of a Bitcoin print magazine that's just consists of kind of day-to-day news, because that would be disposable and it's not that interesting, because anyone that's a Bitcoiner and keeping up with day-to-day news, well, they're going to be on Twitter for that. But yeah, the idea of creating a quarterly high-end premium collectible that is literally documenting the kind of the bigger stories as in a quite a historic way. I'm sure the photography and design and art direction and print stock and all that is reasonably high quality. What kind of
the highest quality? The highest quality. It's honestly insane that we sell it for so cheap. But these are thick magazines, and like you said, we have the best designers in the business, and it is really truly a work of art. Awesome.
And how's the website itself going? Because I mean, look, as a crypto media guy, even if it's we're talking Bitcoin specific really, but as here at Brave New Coin and with the Crypto Conversation podcasts, it's the same across the industry. When the market is up, website visits are up, podcast downloads are up, magazine subscriptions are up. When the market is down, it is the reverse. What sort of trends have you guys seen, I guess, recently, like this year, in terms of eyeballs really?
Well, what you said is completely right. There is very much this price dependency on numbers. But with that being said, like, we are very, very much Bitcoin native, and we have been here for a long time, and we've built our business after a lot of pains to accommodate for the cycles. So we're seeing things are slowing down. Not to say that, the website is still better than ever, but in terms of the market sentiment overall, it's not as hot and frothy as it was 6 months ago. And, we're kind of seeing the sentiment, Bitcoiners are getting pissed on the internet. But that's fine. That's just kind of how Bitcoin has been. And until it changes, you can kind of count on it to kind of have these cycles. So I would say overall, just like Bitcoin up and to the right, the quality up and to the right, the high quality, I think that while Brave New Coin may not have as many viewers in a bear market as they do during a bull market, the quality of the viewer increases exponentially. The likelihood of them actually engaging with the brand, engaging in Bitcoin, engaging with advertisers is much higher. So, it's just about recognizing that and kind of, aligning, I think. And I'm sure that's something that you and your teammates have, work on consistently.
Yeah, that's actually that's a really good point, Christian. Yeah, anyone that is engaging with crypto products and services and media at the bottom of the bear market, not that that's really where we are right now, but anyone that's doing that is, yeah, definitely a long-term potential user or customer or whatever. So, so your title at the moment is Managing Director of Bitcoin Magazine, Christian, and I think you were head of product for a while as well. So you've obviously been there a while, but yeah, just before we talk about the conference and I guess Bitcoin wider, I'm always just interested in what's a typical day for you? What are the kind of things that you would do for a typical workday, if there is such a thing?
Yeah, so let me just zoom out. So BTC Inc. is the parent company that owns Bitcoin Magazine. David Bailey is the CEO of BTC Inc. He's my boss. And then under BTC Inc. is the Bitcoin Conference, Bitcoin Magazine, the Bitcoin Advocacy Project, earncarrot.com, UTXO Management. And all of these businesses are all Bitcoin only businesses. The two most famous, obviously, are the Bitcoin Conference and Bitcoin Magazine. So each of these businesses all have their own managing director. And I am the managing director of Bitcoin Magazine, which is our media arm. So my day to day, we are a team of about 40 people who make Bitcoin Magazine happen every single day. And, I wake up early in the morning. I'm here in San Francisco, but our team is typically operating East Coast United States. So I operate East Coast United States. So I wake up early and I'm in meetings all day. And when I'm not in meetings, I am trying to take care of emails or I'm jumping on Twitter Spaces or podcasts. So I'm going. Today, woke up at 6 a.m., meetings with partners all morning, and then meetings with our conference staff, getting ready for the conference in 8 days, and then podcasts, Twitter Spaces, meeting with the sales team. And here I am with another podcast. After this, I'm getting a haircut. So it's been bang, 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 but that's my life, 4 to 5 days a week.
Nice. And how would you describe, I suppose, like the editorial side of things? Like, how does that work? I think you said that you had a team of 40 or something. So how do you guys go about kind of, finding the content, deciding what the stories are, breaking the stories? I guess you guys must be really, really well networked across the global Bitcoin ecosystem to kind of break those stories and do it in a way that kind of is true to the spirit of Bitcoin, if that makes sense.
Yeah, I mean, the best way I can describe it is, every place that we are present, there's a team that manages that and there's an owner that manages that. And, being a media company, you need to network yourself. You need to be known as an outlet. And there's 100% this kind of like chicken and egg problem. So we've kind of gotten beyond that point, of course, and are well networked at this point. But now it's important that our team is consistent and they are always covering the stories. They're always looking to break things. They're always looking to find, to do that extra thing to push us forward. So that way we continue to maintain our reputation. And I know that with Brave New Coin, y'all have done that in many cases, especially when it comes to trading and when it comes to, talking about the different cryptocurrencies in the space. So I'm sure you can speak a lot to what it's like to, own a certain vertical or category and then thrive in it and persist over time.
Yes, indeed. And what? How long have you been a Bitcoiner yourself, Christian? And what has it been like, I suppose, to kind of, in a way, have a front row seat as anyone who has been working in the industry to watch Bitcoin's rise from something that was seen as quite skeptical and then something that was seen as maybe just a speculative asset for speculative trading through to this year. I think it has really been Bitcoin's slightly cheesy to say coming out party, but onto the world stage and become a geopolitical player, which of course is, all Bitcoiners have always thought and believed that this would happen. But I think it is kind of happening even perhaps faster than a lot of Bitcoiners would have thought. How do you think about these things?
Well, Andy, I think that most hardcore Bitcoiners are in fact bearish. So they aren't bullish enough, which is why they think it's going to happen so slowly. And time again is proving to us that Bitcoin happens very quickly. I personally am not surprised. And I think that the recent legitimization of Bitcoin on the world stage, including rumors being confirmed about ExxonMobil experimenting with Bitcoin mining as a way to manage their energy production process. Those things could have been forecasted, and many Bitcoiners did forecast those things. It's just they weren't bullish enough, which is the main problem. But I guess my story is I discovered Bitcoin in 2017. So I heard about Bitcoin in 2013 and 2011, but it was one of those cases where I heard the word and it went right over my head. Internet money, who cares? What's the big deal? I don't care. It's no big deal to me. That was me in 2013. That was me in 2011. But in 2017, after a friend was like, hey, dude, Bitcoin, you need to look this thing up. I was primed and ready. I was into personal finance. I was already investing in equities. And at that point, I did a deep dive and I was instantly hooked. So fall of 2017, instantly hooked. Couldn't pay attention at work anymore. Just kept watching the charts, started being very active on Twitter, and just really fell off at work. And by Christmas time, I actually put in my 2 weeks at my fiat job right at the top of the 2017 market. So if you look at the top of the 2017 market, I think the top was it was somewhere around December 12th or something like that. And I had put in my 2 weeks exactly 2 weeks before Christmas. So I put in my 2 weeks on December 11th. So somewhere around there is the top of the market. And I put in my 2 weeks right at the top. But I couldn't stand being at my job anymore. And I had to Bitcoin full time. So I had no plan. I quit my job. I went to the North American Bitcoin Conference, which is barely a Bitcoin conference. I have to think it. I got a job there. I've done good business at that event, but it's not a Bitcoin conference like our Bitcoin conference is a Bitcoin conference. It's more of a crypto conference. But the BTC Inc. team was there, and I met Bryce Wells from the BTC Inc. team there. And I shook his hand. I said sales and Bitcoin and San Francisco. And he was like, hey, we need one of those. Here's my card. And 3 weeks later, I had a remote job working at BTC Media. So that's kind of my introduction story. I would say I went hardcore, Bitcoin only within 3 or 4 months of discovering Bitcoin. So before I quit my job. And I have a pretty open mind when it comes to the space in general, but I do think that Bitcoin is the real signal and something worth focusing on.
Very nice, Christian. And the funny thing about your story is my story is quite similar actually, but the short version of my story is simply that like you, I'd kind of heard about Bitcoin early on, but just hadn't looked into it hard enough. And then in 2014 I spent some time with Kim.com, who is famously here in New Zealand essentially, and trapped here, and that's another story. But Kim he was a Bitcoiner, and he talked a lot about Bitcoin. So that was my first introduction to Bitcoin, but I didn't sadly stick with it in 2014. And so then, like yourself, in 2017, I don't even know what made me start to look at Bitcoin again, but I did around probably the first half of 2017, and then, as I'm sure was the story for you, Christian, the bull market of 2017 captured our imaginations, and we were down the rabbit hole. And like you, I made it my goal by the end of 2017. I was like, I don't want to do anything else. It's time for me to move into crypto. Start of 2018, I got a job at a new exchange crypto startup here in New Zealand, and of course 2018 being what it was, I lost that job probably 6 months later because it was just the bear market was pretty intense. But luckily, I eventually found Brave New Coin, and I'm still here doing what we're doing. So it is a common story, and I'm with you, Christian. Bitcoin is the signal. I think Bitcoin is the signal. If Bitcoin is the signal, let's talk about Bitcoin 2022. This is going to be a big signal, Christian.
Oh man, it is going to be the biggest signal. So I've been a big part about building this event. So I started my career doing conference sales, and I was a big part of our events at BTC Inc. before the Bitcoin conference back in 2018. And I was a bigger part of Bitcoin 2019, Bitcoin 2020, and which was later canceled due to coronavirus, and then Bitcoin 21, which is last year, where President Bukele and Jack Mallers made the El Salvador announcement. So the fact that we have gone from Bitcoin 2019 being 1,900 people to Bitcoin 2022, which will probably be 22,000 people at the event, is absolutely insane. I mean, the fact that Bitcoin has scaled that much in 3 short years, is just mind blowing. But when you look at like this conference, the companies, the size, the speakers, like this is a world-class event, and with world-class people in it. And it's honestly insane to just see how far Bitcoin has come, even in the short amount of time that you and I have been involved. So, I mean, I can dive into any aspect of it. I don't know if you're on our site, but the speaker list alone is insane.
I am on the website, and you're right. The speaker, just at a high level, the kind of the big name speakers, they are the biggest names in Bitcoin. And you talked about last year, the Jack Mallers and President Bukele El Salvador news that essentially broke at the conference last year. So that is quite a I'm not sure how you guys are going to top this, but look, you can talk me through some of the speakers in a second. But one speaker that kind of intrigues me a little bit, because he's a controversial guy. I'm sure you know who I'm talking about. I'm talking about Jordan Peterson. And so I was just reading, it's actually deeper into your website somewhere, but it says, world-renowned Canadian author and psychologist Dr. Jordan Peterson will be on stage at Bitcoin 2022 in Miami. And this is coming up, guys. This is like April 6 to 9. So this is just about a week away. And you write that this has caused speculation that he may be planning a public endorsement of Bitcoin. So that's kind of, I mean, that in itself is quite intriguing. Jordan Peterson, massive audience of potential Bitcoiners. But so yeah, look, have you got anything that you can kind of hint at what Jordan might have to say? Love to hear it, and then love to hear some of the other speakers.
I wish that I had any insight into what he was going to say.
Yeah.
But there are probably 3 people in the world who know. One of them is Jordan, and the other 2 work for our company. And unfortunately, they don't leak that information. But I mean, Jordan has already been very vocal about Bitcoin. I think he was very vocal about Bitcoin and crypto, especially during the Canadian trucker fiasco with the emergency powers that Justin Trudeau and his government implemented. Jordan was very against that, and was denouncing that activity and talking about why this shows that Bitcoin is necessary. So, I mean, obviously, he has a very large and strong-willed and influential audience, and if he endorses Bitcoin strongly, like that is a massive endorsement. And, those people are very primed to be interested into Bitcoin. But I think that his presence there is just going to be one of many. It's going to be absolutely incredible. We just announced Nick Szabo, so I have no idea what he's going to be doing there.
Really?
You didn't
Wow.
mention Peter Thiel, but Peter Thiel, co-founder of Palantir, PayPal.
Yes.
He wrote the foreword for the Sovereign Individual, the most recent reprint. So he's doing a keynote and a presentation about Bitcoin. There's a billionaire panel with Orlando Bravo and Ricardo Salinas, two of the richest men in the world. So I mean, those are all just going to be absolutely incredible conversations. And again, the caliber of people here, you said it. These are the largest voices in Bitcoin, and this is the annual platform where they're coming together. And we're honored to have to be able to host that right now.
Yeah, it's an amazing lineup, and just so all the people you mentioned, like Peter Thiel, again, kind of a controversial guy, but incredibly successful and a really unique way of looking at the world. So I'd be fascinated to hear what Peter has to say. He's obviously spoken a lot about Bitcoin before, but I'd love to get an update on his views. Same with Cathie Wood, obviously from ARK Invest. She's a prominent Bitcoiner, and even Eric Weinstein. So again, another guy that is kind of known, for his I guess, being a public intellectual. He obviously manages Thiel Capital with Peter, but it's just been interesting to see people like Eric kind of dance around the Bitcoin rabbit hole over the last, 18 months or so, sometimes fall in, sometimes come out again. But it just goes to show that some of the smartest, most interesting people in the world are slowly picking up on the Bitcoin signal. And, you've got them live on stage, right?
Yeah, I mean, again, it's so special that we can, the reality is that it's Bitcoin which is bringing these people together. It's not us,
of course.
But what we're doing is we're creating a stage that is attractive enough to bring these people in together simultaneously, and I think that's what's really special. So all we're doing is creating a stage, but it's really what Bitcoin is doing this. Other huge names, thanks to Cash App, our title sponsor, they're helping us bring Aaron Rodgers and Odell Beckham Jr. So I know you're New Zealand, but those are some of the biggest names in American football. And they have already, started to endorse Bitcoin because of Cash App in particular. Other big shout outs, Elizabeth Stark of Lightning Labs, Lynn Alden, Michael Saylor, Lalu from Lightning Labs, Saifuddin Amus, Cynthia Lummis, who an American politician but a very strong Bitcoin advocate.
Yes.
Adam Back, and the list just goes on. So many incredible Bitcoin and crypto builders and thinkers, but everyone will be talking about Bitcoin. That is the key here.
And so just for the benefit of anyone listening who is not local and not able to attend the conference in person, obviously this is going to be a huge media story. It's going to be all over social media, but just where should people go so they can just find out exactly what is going on and, how they can watch it online and see when everyone is speaking?
No, perfect. So Bitcoin Magazine is going to be hosting the live stream. So the live stream is going to be hosted on Bitcoin Magazine's YouTube. So we will be live streaming. So the event is 4 days total. The way it works is day one is what we're calling Industry Day. That's kind of like the business and developer day. So all the content is restricted to like more business to business, enterprise level, and code level content. And you need a VIP pass or Industry Day pass, which is effectively like the business class ticket to the event, to be at that event. So that is April 6th. All that main stage content from that event will be live streamed on Bitcoin Magazine's YouTube. The next 2 days, which are our general admission days, that is the full conference. So that is going to be 20,000 plus Bitcoiners, all of these speakers that you see on the website, and it's going to be focused on every aspect of Bitcoin, 7+ stages, tons of simultaneous content. The main stage content will be live streamed, and the mining stage content will be live streamed on both those days on Bitcoin Magazine's YouTube. But all the other content that is not live streamed will be recorded and posted to YouTube within 2 weeks of the event. So we have 2 full-time people who are effectively, taking the recordings, posting them to YouTube and other video platforms like Rumble, and making them available. And they're effectively working tirelessly and focusing on getting the most important things and moments that happen in that day out first. But obviously our goal is to get 100% of the content out within 2 weeks of the event. So there's literally hundreds of sessions, which means hundreds of videos being posted to our YouTube. So it's an enormous task, but we will work extremely hard to get as many of them posted as quickly as possible.
Awesome. That is going to be epic. So all this is happening end of next week. By the time I publish this podcast, I'm going to publish it pretty quickly. So yeah, it'll still be end of next week. Will make sense as you're listening to this, listeners. Let's go to a very quick break, Christian, and then we'll come back. We'll have some fun. We'll finish off with the very famous Crypto Conversation hot take round.
Here's what's being said about Masterworks.
My name is Jacob N. I'm from Long Island, and I've invested over $73,000 with Masterworks. My portfolio performance just wasn't cutting it. I researched all these alternative investments, like crypto and NFTs, but they didn't make sense to me. Then I read about Masterworks in Forbes, and I signed up right away. And now you can too. Thanks, Masterworks.
Get VIP access at masterworks.io and use promo code JACOB. See important disclosures at masterworks.io/DC.
Okay, we're back, and I'm with Christian Keroles, also known as CK. He is managing director at Bitcoin Magazine, and him and the team will be gearing up for Bitcoin 2022, which is, well, it's going to be an epic Bitcoin conference. Can't wait to see all the content that comes out of that. In the meantime, though, Christian, as you may know, I like to finish each podcast with a quick round of rapid-fire crypto conversation hot takes. Are you up for it?
Let's go. I'm here for it, Andy.
All right. Just want, quick, snappy answers, hot take style. You know how we roll. First question is, be interested to see what you say. Christian, where do you sit on the Bitcoin maximalist to multi-chain opportunist spectrum?
Ooh, this is a good question. So I think that if you do not have a Bitcoin monetary maximalist perspective in the long term, you're going to make bad choices. But with that being said, I am 100% for freedom to do whatever you need to do to make money. Obviously, your reputation is at risk, so best to act ethically. But outside of that, I'm not going to tell people how to invest their money, and just count your wealth in sats.
I love it. All right, Christian, what would you say is your firmest conviction, a Bitcoin opinion?
My firmest conviction Bitcoin opinion is that Bitcoin is going to happen a lot faster than we think, and that it's all about the mining. Bitcoin mining is the key to everything. So whenever people are like, oh, we need to innovate past Bitcoin mining, Bitcoin mining is legacy tech, big red flag. It's all about Bitcoin mining.
Yeah, and well, interesting that you say that. So that is happening at the moment. What's his name? The guy from Ripple is, I'm sure you know about this, that he's kickstarting a big campaign that he is funding from his Ripple treasury to try and drum up support against a proof of work and try for a code switch. It's going to get a bit messy, right?
Shows he knows nothing about Bitcoin history. Clowny.
Yeah. All right, Christian, Bill Gates famously said that we tend to overestimate what we can accomplish in 2 years and underestimate what we can accomplish in 10. So it's a roundabout way of saying, it's kind of saying what you're saying, which is Bitcoin happens faster than anyone thinks. So with that in mind, Bitcoin in 10 years' time, what are we seeing? What are we looking at?
Yeah, so I think people will be disappointed about Bitcoin in 2024, and they will be flabbergasted to see that we've reached hyper-Bitcoinization by 2030. But I truly think that Bitcoin is a fundamental part of the energy markets by 2030. And if we have not reached hyper-Bitcoinization, we are on track to do so.
I love it. And just for the benefit of anyone who doesn't know what hyper-Bitcoinization is, how would you describe it?
So I guess there's many different kind of ways to look at this, but the best way that I can to describe it is 100%. The kind of state of hyper-Bitcoinization is when all value is measured and communicated in Bitcoin terms. Effectively, it means repricing the world in Satoshis, which is the small unit of Bitcoin.
That's right. So Bitcoin becomes effectively, the global reserve currency of everything. All right. William Gibson, famous sci-fi author, said that the future is already here. It's just not evenly distributed. Christian, can you think of an example of the future being here right now, but most people just aren't really aware of it?
Bitcoin.
Short, simple. Yeah.
yeah, it's Bitcoin. We have future internet money. We have sound money for the digital age. Less than 1% of the global population has adopted it. So definitely not evenly distributed.
That's right. And it just means if there's only, did you say 1%? Is it higher than that? Is it 2%, 1%, 2%? Doesn't really matter, but it means there's a lot more upside.
There's 7 billion people on Earth, right? So there's no estimate. People will throw out 1%, 2%, whatever. That's a BS number because there's no this many people estimate that is even close to 1%. So, my best estimate is, we're under 0.1% global adoption. Maybe not in terms of market cap, maybe not in terms of mind share, but in terms of people who own Bitcoin, we're not even close. We're very early. Yes,
it's always early. All right. Time to zoom out, time to get a little bit weird for just a second, Christian. What do you see as the long-term future for the human race? Do you see dystopia or utopia?
I am an optimist. I think Bitcoin is hope. Michael Saylor said that. Many Bitcoiners have said that, and I agree Bitcoin is hope. So I'm optimistic for the human race. I think humans have always figured out how to organize better and scale better, and we're doing that right now.
I love it. All right. Finally, Christian, what is your favorite science fiction book, film, TV show, or universe?
I'm a big Dune fan. I think a lot of Bitcoiners are big Dune fans. I used to really like Star Wars, but I just can't stand it anymore. So maybe original Star Wars has a place in my heart, but I'm kind of over it. It got Disney-ified way too much.
Yeah. I agree. But the original Star Wars trilogy, so good. But yeah, it does seem like a lifetime ago, a galaxy far, far away even. Christian, this has been fun. We have reached the end of the show. Could you please close it out by telling the people where they can find you on Twitter or wherever else you like to hang out online? And look, please give a final shout out for Bitcoin Magazine and, of course, Bitcoin 2022, the big Bitcoin conference, which is, literally about a week away.
Bam. Thank you so much for listening. You can find me at CK_snarks on Twitter. That is CK_SNARKS. And you need to go to the Bitcoin conference. I guess if you're listening to this, it might be already too late. Go to Bitcoin Magazine YouTube, watch all of that amazing content. Subscribe to Bitcoin Magazine. We do a print issue every quarter, and go follow Bitcoin Magazine on Twitter. Go check out our website. We are covering the Bitcoin universe every single day. So BTC Inc., we are the Bitcoin hyper-Bitcoinization company, and we put on the biggest Bitcoin conference in the world, the Bitcoin conference, and Bitcoin Magazine, obviously the most trusted voice in Bitcoin. So check us out. We're doing it on all the platforms, and we're doing it for Bitcoin.
Fantastically said. I like it a lot. Thank you so much, CK. All the best, and good luck for the conference. I'm sure it'll be epic, and I'll be watching, and so will the rest of us. All the best, and bye for now.
Cheers.
All right, there you go. That was CK from Bitcoin Magazine and Bitcoin 2022. Hard not to get excited talking with Christian and just hearing about, some of those epic speakers that are coming up. I mean, some controversial characters for sure, and I think that's just why it's just so interesting to see some of the, as I say, most interesting people in the world become attracted to Bitcoin for one reason or another, and then decide that they need to share whatever thoughts they may have, like Sir Peter Thiel, Eric Weinstein, Jordan Peterson, and then, the usual suspects such as Michael Saylor and Jack Mallers and Cathie from ARK, the list goes on. Going to be epic. I'm excited. I'm sure you can tell that. Bitcoin is the signal. Couldn't have said it better. Better leave it there. Thank you for listening, team. Don't forget to subscribe to the Crypto Conversation podcast in whatever podcast app you're using, so you know when each new episode drops. And please do give us a 5-star rating in Apple iTunes, Apple Podcast app, etc. But for today, that was the show. Thank you for listening. This was the Crypto Conversation for Brave New Coin. See ya.